MS now had Abdul and Platner.
Sanders kingmaker. The senators helping progressive candidates pull ahead in Senate races, and it's making some Democratic leaders nervous. In Michigan, Sanders' latest preferred candidate is...
I don't like that they use old photos of Abdul back when he was a little bit chunkier, because like he's slimmed out, you know, he's keeping it tight. You know, put some new photos up there.
Abdul El Sayed.
Yeah, there we go.
Gaining momentum in a three-way Democratic primary.
Not his best suit, but
using a very clear platform: Medicare for all, abolishing ICE, and ending U.S. military aid to Israel. And in Maine, Sanders endorsed Graham Platner is leading the Democratic field handedly, despite a string of negative revelations. In an interview with NBC News, Platner said he'd push Democrats to pursue an aggressive agenda, one that includes replacing Chuck Schumer, organizing an anti-war movement, and removing 2 conservative Supreme Court justices. Joining us, former Florida Congressman Val Demings and Peter Hamby, who's back with us. So, Peter, is this a sea change?
Oh, Peter's on the line, baby. Let's hear from Peter.
I don't think so. I mean, we've both covered elections for going on 8 years now, where Bernie Sanders, 10 years, where Bernie Sanders has been a factor, where he's been on the ballot. I think the candidates you mentioned, Abdul El Sayed and Graham Platner, will certainly do well in their primaries. Platner's is in June, El Sayed's in August. Among younger voters, especially in Michigan, where there are a lot of Arab and Muslim people and young people on campuses who are furious about Gaza still and that issue, and they're making their campaign about AIPAC and stopping AIPAC money, et cetera. So at the same time, Bernie Sanders has a mixed record endorsing candidates. He also endorsed Peggy Flanagan in the Senate primary in Michigan. He can bring a lot of energy to the table, but he's also been on the ballot in many of these states. He was on the ballot in Michigan himself in 2020 against Joe Biden and lost.
Peter can't give you credit. It's hilarious. I don't think he should bring my name up at all in this.
A lot to Biden, in part because he has yet to crack the code with black voters.
Ben Rhodes, opinion: Graham Platner went to hell and back. Is a simple message for Democrats. This is where American exceptionalism. Oh yeah, I heard Graham Platner's recent statements about like American war machine, and it was really fucking good. I know a lot of people hate him and all this shit, but every day he comes out with a more impressive statement. He basically said there's nothing exceptional about what we do overseas, and what we should be doing. What the difficult thing to do is actually not to bomb another brown country, but instead a president that can be restrained. Yeah, he said we are so broken emotionally when it comes to our politics that we've literally created this story, and that it's inherent in being a competent political leader to kill civilians. Mr. Platner told me, if you're not willing to do some hard things and drop some bombs, then you're not up to the task of power. I think it's the opposite. You're not up to the task of being in power if you do not think about the cost of violence. If that's not at the front of your mind, then I don't think you're morally in the right place to be in positions of power. We like to frame our wars as virtuous, but they're not. Instead, they resemble a declining empire sowing chaos along its periphery as a matter of strategy. Economic and political elites profit while the Americans who fight suffer along with the places they attack. The only way we change that is by talking about it publicly, Mr. Platner told me. If we start to revisit the morality of military conflict and how we use violence, that's going to have a direct correlation to what is good for America. I'm sorry, you will never convince me that that is not the most. I mean, that's like, if you like it when I say it verbatim, because this is what I say verbatim, but you hate it when he says it. At a certain point, you have to realize, like, there is no reason for him to be insincere about this. Yeah, says the dude that chose to go kill civilians multiple times. The USA sucks. I know. Like, which message do you think will resonate more with the voters? I mean, this is still, at the end of the day, somewhat of a brave stance to take, even though it's the true stance to take, right? It's just the truth. That's all he's saying. First time one of my tweets has been on your screen. Oh, right here. It's sad that we have endless amounts of money to drop bombs on brown kids. This guy, look at this guy. Glazing themselves. Was Fetterman ever this progressive? Oh, man. No, of course not. He would know what it takes as a politician who's killed civilians. When Janet Mills was a machine gunner. Dude, are you unironically saying Janet Mills is better than fucking Platner? Please, dude. He was pro Hamas, okay? He was giving Hamas credit in 2014. Okay, what more do you fucking want? Oh, Jesus Christ. He said, that's a competent military operation. Very nice. That's what he said. While wearing a Nazi tattoo, of course he did. Come on, man. You come on. Please. But he wasn't a machine gunner for Hamas. Shaking my head. I mean, he's saying this now. We can't treat the Supreme Court as a functional constitutional body acting in a phase of corrupt far-right partisan court, and we have to treat it as such. Both Alito and Thomas should be impeached. Jesus Christ, dude. If Chud, why act like woke? Every PSL guy I know hates Platner. I know. Well, they're PSL guys. It's fine. They're not voting anyway. Put it this way. I love someone is saying it, but I wish it wasn't him. I think in the eyes of the average American, he has a lot more legitimacy saying that shit than I do. Because the average American literally fucking sees him as a guy who bled for this shit. And they see me as a annoying America hater who wants to fuck do 9/11s every day. Okay? Just because I have an infallible, untarnished track record as being a guy who did not murder civilians doesn't change that calculation for the average American. Okay? It might for you. Yeah, you're a tanky bitch and he's a veteran. Well, most Americans don't know what the fucking tanky bitch is. Let's be real. I am PSL and I vote in every election. You just write in. That's all you write. You don't even write in a candidate. You just write in the write-in box. I'm a Mainer. What are your thoughts on Platner? I like him. I think he has been unbelievably impressive in this cycle, going from a guy with a million red flags who I was not very excited or like I thought he was cool at first. And then I found out his background. I really liked him at first because he came out of the gate swinging like, fuck Israel, Medicare for all. I was like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. Looks like a chud, talks like a woke, thinks like a woke, perfect guy, right? And then I found out about his background. I was like, oh my God, that's insane. Four tours, machine gunner, and also Blackwater, get the fuck out of here. And then there was like the totem cough tattoo, and I was like, oh my God, this is the totality of everything that this guy is unbelievable. However, my assessment was that he was, of course, far more preferable to Janet Mills regardless, and it was good that people were overlooking the red flags or didn't even consider it to be a red flag at all, but overlooking the red flags for the most part because he was saying all the right things. But since then, that was a year ago, right? That was a year ago. Bro, why did you say that? Like it's a good thing? Wait, what do you mean? No, I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's clearly unbelievably bad. But since then, he has been unbelievably impressive in communicating very clearly a moral conviction that has been lost in American politics. One of the best. Having said that, of course, for a lot of people that normally don't participate in American elections anyway, he is irredeemable monster for being a machine gunner. But I have said since day one that regardless of my suspicions of certain red flags, that he would be a use case for the rest of the country to show that you can actually go to a purple state and run the most progressive guy you can. And guess what? He is the most progressive guy, and he is actually doing unbelievably well. And he's going to, inshallah, defeat, once the primaries are over, he's already cleaned it, but once the primaries are over, he's going to most likely defeat a Republican and take over a red seat. And that's huge.
Saw that when he ran in various primaries, especially in South Carolina and through the Deep South during those primary campaigns when he ran for president. So it's a mix. One thing I will note too that I find interesting, Katie, is that
his biggest ops are also Israel, not fucking ESL. It's like saying my biggest ops are like the hammer and sickle guys who say I'm like not well read enough on fucking Marxist theory or something, or I'm like betraying the revolutionary cause. Like those are not my ops at all. Those are just chirpers in the corner. My biggest ops is the nation state of Israel and the American Fascist Republican Party. Those are my fuck ops. And then Jake Tapper and like some of the centrist liberals, right? I don't give a fuck about the ultras yelling at me. I assume, you know, a similar situation is happening to Graham Platner as well.
Where I am in California, Bernie's political group, Our Revolution, endorsed Tom Steyer for governor, who is a billionaire, but is also running on a populist progressive message, breaking up energy utilities, taxing billionaires. But Bernie himself, who has said billionaires should not exist, is kind of staying away from the race. So, you know, all these candidates are different. All these races and states are different. But, you know, if you are a progressive in a primary, you certainly want Bernie Sanders endorsement.
So I guess, is there a lesson to take away from this? I mean, is it a uniform lesson, or is it a lesson that should be individually or tailor-made, race by race, Val?
If you recall, at that point, initially I said, and I said this on another one of the Pod Save America podcasts as well. If you recall, I said, you look at Graham Platner, he's got red flags, but people really like him. Okay. And he's most likely going to win. That primary is most likely going to win that seat. Now, you have Abdul al-Sayed, on the other hand, who doesn't have any red flags and has an identical message to Graham Platner. So at that point, if Graham Platner is doing so well, but Abdul al-Sayed not so well, you have to make a different assessment. Maybe Graham Platner being white is what is causing people to overlook some of these red flags. And maybe Abdul al-Sayed being Muslim and brown is actually forcing people to think, oh, he's not electable. Like, this is a calculation that perhaps some people are making. Bro, it's Michigan. Dog, Michigan is less white than Maine. What are you talking about? Michigan is more woke than Maine. Hello?
Look, Senator Sanders.
Like, Abdul al-Sayed's going for a blue seat, a blue Senate seat. Graham Platner's going after a red seat.
Has endorsed many candidates. He's won some and he's lost some. So there are certainly no surprises here. But look, I think Michigan and Maine, especially Michigan, has a good problem to have, and that's three candidates who actually excite the voters.
I don't know about all that. I don't know about neither Stevens or McMorrow really exciting people. I wouldn't say that.
And so I do believe, though, that we certainly should. Things are such a mess right now in our nation. I think we should get away from labels and titles, but focus directly on the issues that affect the people. And I think candidates, regardless of where they are, whether in Michigan or Maine, should really talk to general election voters. We cannot afford to lose. Michigan, we know, taking back the Senate runs straight through Michigan. And so all of the candidates, whether they label themselves as progressives, moderates, or something else, should be having a conversation now with general election voters.
I want you to elaborate on that. It sounds like you have some concerns about how the candidates are campaigning for primary voters.
Yeah, because this is about winning, right? And, you know, we saw in Texas where everybody was saying that Congresswoman Crockett was their hero. Oh, she was a hero. She's a fighter. She's wonderful. But then when it came time to vote for her in the primary election, there were some who said, well, they weren't sure whether she could win or not, which that's a whole nother show and a whole nother conversation. But the bottom line is winning is important. It matters. All roads to taking back the Senate run through Michigan. And I do think that we should not narrowly focus on primary voters. We need to be having conversations with general election voters because that's how you win. And the issues are all of the same. People are concerned about affordability. They're certainly concerned about a fear of a war that doesn't seem to have an end or an off ramp. They're concerned about the future for their children. Those are the issues, regardless of how you label yourself or how voters want to label you, that truly matter to the voters.
Let me keep on Michigan for a second, because there's talk about the Democrats retaking the Senate, maybe getting North Carolina, maybe getting Texas, maybe getting Maine, maybe getting Ohio back. Are they risking potentially, this was not on the bingo card, losing Michigan because of the concerns that Val was alluding to regarding general election voters, Peter?
Look, I think there are concerns among Democrats in the state that, and let's be clear, we're talking about Abdul El-Sayed winning the Democratic nomination against Republican Mike Rogers, who, over the years has been, genuflected before Donald Trump, but is not purely a MAGA candidate. He's got experience and a brand in Michigan. The issue there is it's a three-way primary, and you've got Haley Stevens, Mallard McMorrow, and Abdul El-Sayed all running. And to win, you just need 33, 34, 35%